Welcome back to Vinyl Latte. We are going to be talking about a very boutique pressing, and that is the Stooges Funhouse from the Electric Recording Company, otherwise known as ERC. And I know this is really hard to get your hands on, and I know there's a lot of fans frustrated that this is not really accessible to them. They only make $450 and they cost bonkers money. But I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts. I had a chance to listen to the album twice, and I took some notes on each track, and I wanted to share you my experience and then give you my honest and open opinion about, do I think this album's ultimately worth it? I'm going to tell you right now, it sounds great, but the big question is it worth it? Well, grab a cup of coffee and let's find out. All right, the Electric Recording Company reissue, The Stooges. This is their seminal album, Funhouse. And I got to tell you, it's nothing short of a revelation. I mean, you probably expect that, right? I mean, as expected, the ERC has an amazing attention to detail. They have this huge commitment to preserving albums. And in this case, what they've done is they preserved the raw energy. And I gotta say, it is just unparalleled to any version I've heard before. So I'd like to take a moment to dive into each track. I took some notes while I was listening to the tracks. I want to share them with you. I want to share with you some of the nuances that I heard and what to me made things kind of stand out. And then I want to talk to you about why this may or may not be the perfect album for Stooges fans or audiophiles, right? So yeah, let's dive into it. Track 1, Down on the Street. Okay, let me just say, this opening track just burst out of my speakers, man. It just bursts out of your speaker with this like visceral punch. You got Iggy Pop's vocals are just raw and they're immediate. And man, I mean, they're perfectly captured this whole essence of the Stooges live performance in just the opening moments of the track. It really does blow you away. The guitars here just have this crisp clarity that just slices through the mix, while the bass and the drums provide this powerful foundation as you're listening along. And the dynamics here, I mean, they're so immersive. Each instrument really just occupies its own space, yet they blend seamlessly. I mean, if you really want to sit there and focus on one instrument, you can, and you can hear it. It doesn't get lost in the music. But when you step back, your ears step back, everything just blends together, which is what I think to me, is what Stooges is all about. Okay, track 2, Loose. This retains, I mean, everything on this album, when I heard this track, it really retains this like gritty, rebellious charm. It's all there. The guitar riffs are sharp and they're aggressive, and the rhythm section just drives the track forward with this relentless energy. The saxophone play by Stephen McKay just adds this, this layer of just like chaotic beauty, cutting through all this raw punk energy with this wild improvisations. It's just truly an amazing track. One of the other standout tracks is track 3. That's TVI, and I mean, this is one of the hit songs from the album. I mean, it really showcases the band's ability to merge intensity and musicality. The drums are just thunderous, and the bass lines are just deep and resonant. The guitar solo just soars here, and Iggy's vocals are just drenched in attitude. I mean, you can feel the emotion here. That, I think, to me, is the big thing. Is the consistent factor here, is that raw energy and emotion. You just feel it. You feel it. You're not listening. It's not like you're hearing it. You're feeling it. The soundstage is so wide, and it really just makes you feel immersed in this chaotic energy throughout the recording. Okay, Dirt. Well, this takes a slower, more broadened approach, and I think the ERC release kind of amplifies the dark, moody atmosphere. The bass is kind of really rich and enveloping, and you have, the guitar tones are just haunting, and Iggy's vocals are just raw and emotional, conveying a sense of desperation that is palatable. The track builds in intensity, with the reissue kind of capturing every nuance and shift of the dynamics. It was actually quite a treat to listen to that track. So that's it. You flip the record over, and the second side kicks off with 1970, and this is a very high octane track that benefits greatly from the ERC's meticulous mastering. The drums and the bass lock into this tight groove, while the guitar and the saxophone interplay just create this sort of sonic frenzy. The clarity separation of each instrument makes it feel like the band is performing right in your living room, like live, like they're there live singing to you, which was it was honestly a real treat. It was quite fun. It was a quite enjoyable treat. And then you get into the title track, Funhouse, right? And this is honestly an epic journey of raw power and improvisation. The reissue just highlights the spontaneous nature of the recording, with each instrument coming alive with this unprecedented clarity. The saxophone solos are particularly striking, adding this free-form jazz element to punk rock foundation. It's actually quite brilliant when you really think about what's going on here. And what I love about this particular pressing is you don't get lost. Like, you hear everything in the finest detail, and you can hear what the band was hearing when they were playing this live. Like, it didn't get lost. And the track's length just allows, this experience to just allow you to explore the various musical territories. And I think that the reissue here by ERC just really just captured this whole exploration beautifully. The last track here, the closing track, is LA Blues, and it's this chaotic, freeform explosion of sound. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't my favorite track, but I did listen to it, even though at certain times, for me, it was hard to listen to. I listened to it twice, and I got to tell you, I think that this particular reissue by ERC brings out the avant-garde elements, with the guitars and the saxophone and the drums, is kind of creating a swirly, almost hypnotic, experience. I think the track is a bold statement of artistic freedom, and I think this reissue captures the raw essence with remarkable fidelity. If it's meant to give you chaos and meant to kind of play with your mind, it did exactly that for me. And I think that's why it's my least favorite track on the album, because it messed with me, right? I felt anxious. I felt like I couldn't take it. And it wasn't that I hated the music and I couldn't take it. I just felt emotionally I couldn't take whatever the heck was going on. And there's not many times that music can hit somebody that way, and you felt it here. At least I did. I had that experience, which was kind of surreal to me. It doesn't happen often to me. I love music, and I can get lost in it. I can close my eyes and I can visualize being there, but to actually feel emotions like anxiety, it happened, and that's a real experience. So let's talk about it then. I mean, obviously it sounds like I'm raving about it, right? So what's the deal here? Well, the Electric Recording Company's reissue of Funhouse, it's a triumph of analog mastering. The use of analog master tapes and the 1965 audiophile lyric, vinyl cutting system, really, of course, it ensures that you have this authentic listening experience. And then you take all of that cool stuff and a sound that's dynamic, engaging, and sort of true to the spirit of the Stooges, and then you package it in this handmade letterpress sleeve, and you add this tactile dimension to the experience, making this reissue just a delight to hold and see. It's a collector piece. You got a beautiful obi here, and then you go press it at Record Industry. It's the same press implant that music on vinyl uses. So you're not getting anything special when it comes to the pressing, which is actually a little bit of a shame, I think. And at $500, this pressing surely isn't for everyone. And while the cover is gorgeous and the sound is rich and the overall audible experience is on par with some of the best audiophile pressings, many of which are really honestly offered at a third or less of the price point, leaving this album really in the hands of ultra fans of the Stooges. Yeah, if they could afford it. Maybe for those who invested heavily in their 2-channel system to bring all the rich details that were buried in the grooves to life, so you can actually appreciate the money you're spending on this record so it doesn't sound like every other version you have. Yeah, maybe. But then you have such a limited run. 450 copies? Even if you're a Stooges fan, it's the folks that buy up every ERC album, grab it before maybe you get paid on a Friday to be able to afford it. So, you know, if money was no object and availability was there, I would say if you're a fan and if you're an audiophile, this reissue of Funhouse is essentially an addition to any collection. You should have it. It's a staple album, and this is one of the top 500 albums of all time, according to Rolling Stones. You should have one of these in your collection. And why not have the definitive version in your collection? But you can't afford it. You can't get one. They don't hold them for you. You have to go online. It's not available at your local record store. Let's say money is no object. Let's say you can afford the album and you don't mind paying aftermarket prices, which are really inflated. Let's say that you want to do that. Well, if that's the case, you know, this album, this reissue, really does preserve all that raw energy from the original recordings while enhancing the sound quality to a level that just some of the other pressings, the reissues just haven't really been able to achieve or rarely can achieve. And that's what ERC is known for. So I think for me, this is the way that Funhouse was meant to be heard for listeners at home. This is an honest representation of the music. The band is there. It's going to create emotions for you. If you play that last track and you don't feel anxious or you want to go run around and just, you know, you don't have the energy being transferred to you, I don't know who you are, because I feel like that's an experience that you're going to go through. But man, that price, and that you're really not getting anything super special when it comes to the pressing itself, after all the other attention to detail, I don't know. I think it brings it a hard buy. I really do think it brings it a hard buy. We'd have a different conversation if it was more affordable. We'd have a different conversation if it had some amazing pressings. We'd have a different conversation of many things. But you're really paying for a handmade jacket and just amazing mastering work. That's what you're paying for. Is that worth it to you? Only you can tell me that. I can't tell you that. For me, I'm happy to have this album in my collection, but I will never buy another Funhouse album. This is it. This will live and die with me as a definitive copy. That's all I got to say. I'd love to get your thoughts. Drop them in the comments. ERC fan, not an ERC fan, approachable, not approachable. Wish you would have got the Stooges album. Missed out. Are you mad that you did? Are you upset that you did? Did you really miss out? Share it with me. Comments below. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee, and I'll see you on the next video.